I want to introduce to you Vesna Mačković. She is an internationally acclaimed multidisciplinary performance artist. She resides in Croatia, in Zagreb. Am I right, Vesna?
I actually moved to Dalmatian coast to Zadar 2 months ago after the quarantine.
Okay.
Well, so I'm not in the capital city anymore, not in the noisy city anymore.
But you live in a beautiful part of the world.
Well, I guess, yes. Diversified climate. From snow to the seagulls.
Lovely. So Vesna has worked in Scotland, United States of America, Brazil, Cyprus, Argentina, Italy, and she is in Russia as well. Am I right? Haven't you worked in Russia as well?
Russia, Kazakhstan, Italy.
Yes, so she has a huge international footprint. She does solo as well as ensemble works. And if you look at the themes of her works, it's from deeply personal to extremely political. I'm thinking about something like Under the Glass Bell, all the way to, is it Kikiriki? Is that how you would pronounce that?
Yeah, really political thing, yes.
Very, very political, yes. So yes, a lot of social activist works, but also deeply personal. And we have posed some questions to Vesna, and we would like her to take over as host now and then start sharing with us and answer the questions.
So you make me a host, okay.
I'm making you a host right now. And you are a host.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm happy to be invited to talk about my arts for your class. I'm even more happy to see the finished works of yours at the end of the school year. I'm always enthusiastic to see what other people are creating, especially at the other side of the planet. I have a few questions prepared that I should be like my guiding points through this talk. So the first question is, what is the overreaching arm of the purpose of my work? Well, yes, I guess this is maybe the most important question when an artist is trying to define what he actually wants to do in life, in creative life. So my main goal, my main focus is always to not create what we call l'art pour l'art, the art for its own purpose, to be beautiful and to have fun and to go out of theater or movie theater or whatever concert with only feeling for short time good. I'm even happy to touch some hard points, some personally or politically or globally difficult topics, emotionally difficult, to achieve a goal of raising awareness in audience about some important questions in this world, important questions for somebody personally, important questions globally, because I think the purpose of the arts generally should be to talk about what is good in this planet, in our societies, and what we need to keep and nurture, but also what is bad, what is wrong, and what should be fixed and what should be replaced. So yes, if I'm doing theater, if I'm doing performance work on the street, if I'm doing music, concert, film, even lately visual arts, digital paintings, it's always led by some topic that I don't think it's only for the purpose of being beautiful and listening to nice music. I think I could, while I talk, also show some photos of the things I'm talking about. So for example, I will try to share something now. Let me see if I can succeed. Yes, I have my photos here. So, for example, my actually first political work, I'm trying to click everything I want, is a video performance I created in the abandoned factory, abandoned iron factory. I hope you see the first photo. Can you just confirm, Marth, or somebody?
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Okay, so this is in my hometown. We can also talk about locations for performances. This was a performance made specifically for video purposes. I went to abandoned iron factory. It was abandoned and devastated not only during the war, but also during the capitalism and corruption. So we went into this factory, which hasn't had people inside, I guess, for 20 years or more even. And we came like to improvise, but the things we found, like working helmet, some working gloves and equipment. This is my cinematographer. And we were lucky to have a beautiful light in the late afternoon. So everything we found there that was actually not touched for 20 years, we used in my performance. Which was to talk about the different economic systems, like transfer from communism to capitalism, which I created by using these props and banging on the wall of these already falling walls, trying to give an idea of how all these economic systems, be it communism, be it capitalism, both have something wrong for the worker itself, for the citizen itself. So later, this performance was actually transferred from video to live performance in New York, where the almost real size factory was replicated on the Long Island in New York, to create a live performance. It's interesting to show how we were planning to make this in New York. So we had the screenshots, paper screenshots from this video, and we needed to replicate it, the walls, the windows, the light falling down. We needed to replicate it for the Bob Wilson's residency, summer residency, which was expecting like 1,000 visitors. And we had 2 weeks. We had 2 weeks to replicate this video live. So what we did, we used paper models and trying to see how it will work before we actually invested money and created the replica of the factory. Of course, it had to have some really excellent soundscape, because in the video you could hear my feet walking on the gravel. You could hear me banging on the wall with a hammer wide around the factory. So we installed on my feet microphones. So even the audience that was not inside the building could hear me walking. These are some interesting things to think about, because every sound can be useful for the artistic story. So is it your walking? Is it your deep breathing, which cannot be heard on the microphone, so you have to have those face microphones? Is it that you will be pre-recording some wind, some leaves falling, some children playing? All these sounds which you can collect with your sound recorder or mobile phone recorder can be so much useful, especially if you are doing it for the video, but also in the theater and in the stage work. So think about always what you can record in your daily life, actually, from the sounds, or when you're walking outside somewhere, because all this one day can be a part of your story. And it's always good to collect sounds, and then maybe to mix unexpected sounds together. I will ask Marth if I'm staying too long, anything to correct me, because I may lose track of time. Also, if you're doing content for the video, it's always nice to think what location is maybe unexpected, or what situation is unexpected. For example, in this, what Marth said, political project, Kikiriki, I used something that was totally not expected, and that is making satire of Paralympics, which is somewhat a taboo topic. It's you don't make fun of disabled persons, right? Especially if they're trying to run or doing something physical. So I put my body on the athletic stadium and tried to do all these things that healthy bodies can do. And then I made a theater show using this video as a background. And I had a music band pre-recording music song before the theater show, and we did it inside of the football. What's the word? Football. I don't have a word for this. So always think about what is not expected but is logical, because for example, in this story, sport is so commercialized. It's going so far from its true purpose, like health and having a healthy body or having fun competing. It's totally disturbed now and distorted. So we put a music band inside, because I think that's the only thing missing actually in commercial sport to have another level of show program. So I'm using these fake weightlifting things made from cardboard. I have audience forced into cheering for me. And another interesting element that could be used in any performance, street or theater, whatever, is to use audience as an actor, as a participant. In this show, the audience didn't know that below their chairs were some flags waiting. And in the middle of the show, I asked them to cheer for me, the great athlete, by taking flags from below their chairs. Of course, they didn't have time to look what is on the flags. So you can send this way any message you want, and audience as they are, they will most of the time listen to you, especially if it's a flag and something with which they can wave. In this show, I'm using a camera person, who is recording the whole show. I'm using her also as a participant in the show. So, for example, after some scenes, I'm actually really thirsty because I'm doing very hard physical things, and I'm using her as a side stander to give me water. It's all part of the show. I also have an unexpected participant coming out from the audience. It was, of course, planned. He's like a crazy fan coming out from the audience and dancing around me and interrupting the show. He's actually going totally nude later after this scene. So that's always something interesting to think about, how to involve audience in the way they don't expect. Of course, they expect maybe to applaud, to laugh, maybe to answer some questions sometimes in some interactive performances, but use props, give them something in their hands. That's always cool, interesting additional level of a story. Marth said another question: do you follow a specific creative process, or is the process different each time? Well, yes, I think it's different most of the times. Sometimes I start with sounds and music. Sometimes I start with poetry. Sometimes I start by visualizing scenography, like a stage or landscape where I need to put some story. And then the story, which was only maybe in back of my mind, then it develops during thinking about these contents. It's always good when you prepare a performance, if it's something that is not improvised but practiced and prepared fully by screenplay or something. It's always good to record yourself, for example, because especially if you're doing solo, but also if you're doing ensemble work, it's always good to record everything, every rehearsal, everything, because then you can have at home, when you're resting from the work, you can have a view at how does it look like to the audience. Does it look like how you want it to look? For example, this was a duet, contemporary dance duet, and it was impossible without the third eye of a camera to plan and see how it will look. So we recorded everything. We have hours of material. And later, when we entered the space where we performed this romantic contemporary dance, we needed to use what's there because it was not really expensive space. It was an old factory actually. So we came semi-prepared just because we recorded all the rehearsals and we were able to plan. For example, this space, if you see behind, had some doors, so it's not a classical theater space. And we use this door for the entrance. And it was so cinematic and so visually appealing, this entrance through this door, that it's always cool when the space actually surprises you. So always look around you, what's in your space, be it outside, be it inside, and use it to the maximum. This is from this contemporary dance. What was the next question? What are the specific aspects that you consider when you create? Well, I think I already answered that, but for example, let me show you the show, which was about ecology and capitalism. The theater shows can actually be made very cheap. For example, regarding the props and scenography. For example, this is a show for which we used like 300 plastic bottles and some masks like pig noses. And we made like promotive materials outside. Although the show was later done for the theater. So we use these in this show really some cool props. How do you source a site? Yes, that's what I already talked about. I actually use whatever inspires me in some space. I always look around me. So, for example, when I was visiting Washington, D.C. for another performance, I also used the location to prepare videos for the theater show My Speech. It is a trilingual show with Brazilian actor Robson Catalunha and me. So we did some video performances in front of the White House in Washington, D.C. in United States, which then we used which then we used as a back video for the theater show. This is a nice location, like a simple meadow, which was the location for filming the video performance using 3D effects inside the video, which was then I added my own music. And this is the topic was the screensaver of extraterrestrial computers. So what do they want to see and how do they want to relax? I'm sorry if the sounds from my house are terrible, but I couldn't stop neighbor from drilling. I also have a question: how do you choose and create a soundtrack? Well, except recording whatever inspires me outside, I also do my own music, and it can be done on mobile phones also without special studio equipment or professional musicians. So, for example, for your video work, you can use mobile applications that have looping options, and you do something with your voice, you do something with your tongue, you do something with, I don't know, kitchen utensils, paper, plastic bags. You make some sounds and let this application overlap them, let this application loop them like forever, and you can make a really fantastic, impactful soundscape this way. Of course, mobile applications also have instruments like pianos, guitars, whatever your mind can think of. So if you are musical, you can also play something. But for me, sound is always in the function of the story. So it's each time it's very different. Sometimes I do play instruments, sometimes I just make sound effects. So you have to think about what kind of soundscape you wish to have behind the visual story and the body, if you're using body, because it can have so much useful effect. But also think also that silence is also a soundscape. So be careful about not forcing sounds when and where they could be less effective than silence. So think about these things. If you know, and you said you also have a digital media department, so maybe you should think about also while recording how to play with light and shadows. This is one example. How much difference can a light and shadow make from one photo to another? So this is one version, and this is another. This is a subtle black and white, almost. And think, of course, about emotions. So actually the same picture, different emotion totally. Play with glass material, play with reflections. It's always like adding another person to the story. Play with colors in the video recordings. Like open your eyes to everything that your lens can see, but maybe your eyes don't. So use the camera as additional two eyes, because sometimes you will record something that actually you weren't aware of in the space by looking it without the camera. Let me see if I can share something more, but I'm also okay to taking questions. Okay, I want to show you about the sound that you can also use, except the instruments, some unexpected things like typing machine. Old typing machine, each letter actually makes a different tone. Of course, it's not mathematically correct, but musically correct, but it can make such a cool rhythms, such a cool sound effects. This was in Kazakhstan, where I had improvisational sound and voice workshop, which ended in 1 hour concert. So we had a professional opera singer, professional flutist, and so on in this so-called band. And I think one more thing is really cool to show, and this is my show, Who is Faster? Who is Faster, or the show for the end of the world. This theater show also had radio drama version, which won award in New York for International Audio Fiction Award. So what is interesting here at first view of the flyer is that the costumes are made from recyclable materials. So the young little girl, 11 years old actually, she has a dress made from used toilet paper rolls. It was actually, I think, 300 rolls, and the dress was, I think, like 5 meters long. So to stay in the theme, her gloves, her fancy gloves, are actually the gloves for cleaning the toilet and matching my yellow shirt. And the male actor, William Matula, awarded Croatian actor, he's playing an awarded literature author, Miroslav Krleža. He has a pillow with letters signifying that he's a writer, but he also has around his neck a tool. What is the word? A knot? Because in one point of the show, he actually wants to kill himself. So all the time, all the scenes, he is with this pillow and with this thing around his neck, signifying what's coming on at the end of the show. So it's interesting to sometimes to give the audience announcement of what's going to happen in the end, and so they are excitedly waiting through the whole show. Okay, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. So he's ready. He has a pillow, so he can lay in his grave softly and nicely, comfortably, and he's ready to be dead whenever the society wants the writer gone from the activistic stage. So this is also a semi-political story about writers not being visible enough today because the media is overcrowded with the stars. So we have a star character. She has glowing eyelashes and really fancy gloves and dress. So it was really an intriguing story for me to make, because to put on a stage such a young actress, like 11 years old, and awarded older classical theater actor, and me in the middle of them with my craziness and performative styles. It was very intriguing to work on this show with these two people. And like the latest thing I did before the quarantine in 5 United States states and Cyprus and Italy was this. It was something made out of dog tunnel. It was a periscope, human-sized periscope. I'm hidden inside with some cameras, and I'm traveling the world with this. I hope to come to Pretoria, to South Africa with this. It was so far in Scotland, in the United States, 5 states, Brazil, Argentina, Italy, and Cyprus. The purpose is that this periscope with me hidden inside is traveling the world, and with cameras hidden inside, I am the periscope, or I am recording my conversations with different cultures around the world about what is happiness, what is life, what is this planet where I'm like randomly put on. So it's really interesting to go from Croatia with these questions and recordings around the world. Hope one day I will finish this project, because it should visit all the continents. So far it's only been Europe and North and South America, 3 continents. So it's also really intriguing, because all these cameras hidden inside make people really comfortable to talk to the periscope. They do know they are recorded, but they are not in so much overwhelmed by visible cameras, because they are hidden. So it's interesting what people around the world are saying to the periscope about what is happiness, about what are people, what are animals, about what is planet Earth, what is politics, what is diplomacy, what is political correctness, and so on and so on. So that's it from me. I think we have 9 more minutes. I will be happy to take questions. I hope this was useful. Should I make you a host? Do you want me to make you a host?
It was incredibly useful. Thank you so much, and very inspiring. And I think we would really like to give our students the time to ask questions. So would anybody like to raise a hand at this point, or just jump in? Kristina or Tarryn-Tanille, would you like to ask questions?
Hi, sure, I can go with a question. Thank you very much for that presentation. It was very inspiring, and I love to see how you are working both in live performance, but then also embracing video and working quite organically across so many genres. I think you're not even questioning, am I in music, am I in visual art? You find it, you're pulling it all into your work, which is so fascinating. And I wanted to ask a little bit about the editing process. So thinking specifically about your video art then, and I wanted to know what part does the editing play in supporting the narrative that you had in mind, or perhaps subverting the narrative, changing it? How do you go about editing? Do you do it yourself?
Yeah, like most of the time I do edit my videos and my sound myself, because most of the time it's my story, you know. So when I do take outside music authors or scenography authors or video authors, then it's really important that I pick people, artists, authors who are poetically on the same line with me. So I have few only few, you know, it's like with friends. For me as an artist, to have an artistic soulmate that I can, without stress, have freedom and relaxedness to give to somebody else to do music or video, whatever. It's only few people around the planet that I can trust so much, like I don't know, actor colleague, actor in Brazil, or musicians in Croatia, or some contemporary dance collaborator. So it's, but of course, sometimes it gets to the point of money, because people are too busy. You have to have money to pay them. So sometimes it's actually a necessity that I do it myself, the audio and video editing. But sometimes it's actually the goal, that it is my story. But it's really nice to be, as I said, poetically connected on the same level with other artists, but because then a story happens, content happens that you didn't expect, that you couldn't produce or create by yourself, simply because this is another person with his or her own footprint in the art creation. So it shouldn't be a role that I'm creating it or most of the time myself. It's more time, the reason is financial.
Thank you so much, Vesna. Tarryn-Tanille, do you perhaps have a question?
Yes, I'm just going to switch on my camera.
Mm-hmm.
Is it on?
Not
sure.
Yeah, we hear you.
Not
yes.
yet. Okay. So I don't know why it doesn't want to show me. Oh, there we are. There we are. So it's more of an observation, in the sense that this idea of witnessing and then recording your work in order to then also look back at it as a type of process of reflection, and how that is quite useful. And whether you have often found that when you are looking or sort of witnessing your work in rehearsal processes or rehearsal times, that you can then make shifts, or do you often change based on what you see in terms of recording yourself, or is that just sort of for archival processes and purposes?
Well, yes, of course, primarily it is for archiving, a good like side product, but yes, we change a lot after seeing it, because we were not aware like geometrically where to put some things or our bodies. We weren't aware how the light was falling on our bodies or on the props. So it is really useful for changing things and content for the better. And not only like static content, also the movement. You have to see it from the third eye to know what the audience will see, what will be in the shadow, what will not be in the shadow, what is too fast, what is too slow. So yes, the recording is always good. Even if you have a third person watching and commenting, it's always good to record so you can see it for yourself. Of course, if you have so much recorded material later, some really cool documentary films can be created with like mistakes from the show, or brainstorming and philosophizing about the topic. So I like have hundreds and hundreds of hours of material so far from different projects that could one day be a really good documentary film about the purpose of arts, why was something done this way or that way, and what did the other participants think about the topic, and what were the things that we did not agree on, and so on.
Thank you so much, Vesna. Anybody else who would like to ask a question at this moment? Vesna, you have started a non-profit organization called the Institute for the Future. What is your intent with that?
Oh my God, I have so many planned projects for this Arctic, the Institute for the Future, but like the Corona has slowed us down, but we did start some of them. One project is, you can take a look at the official website. One project is Let Them Eat Cake, Arctic.org. Arctic EU. It is trying to involve the general public, not only the professional artists, to participate in this project with home videos. And we are tying the project to something I call IF Festival, which is like International Festival of Asking Questions. We have a calendar throughout the 12 months of the year with important international days. International Day of Peace, International Day of Homophobia, fight against homophobia, International Day against Racism, and so on during the 12 months. We finance content from the public and also from the artists on these topics. So if you take a look at arctic.eu, you can also apply for newsletter for these funding opportunities. Main goal is that I don't produce only my own works, but also other people's works, but also to include worldwide citizens, or how to say, who are not artists, to think about these topics, to think about these socially and globally important topics.
Thank you so much. We are running out of time, so I have to thank you on behalf of myself, my colleagues, our lovely students,